Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me, no. Dying don't agree with me, no. All you board ghosts, come with me, we're going home.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experiences. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This night's offering is a continuation of Fiasco, the playset Heroes of Pinnacle City.
Yep.
If you want to find out how the rules of Fiasco work, go listen to our primer episode. I'm one of your players, John Holt, and I am playing President E.R. Rager, Ernest Reed Rager. He is a roid-raging junkie who uses alien steroids to fuel his superhuman strength, and it also, as a byproduct, has made his bodily fluids into a super truth serum.
That's true.
He has some sort of nefarious plot that he is trying to propose in front of this big plan he wants to unveil in front of the UN in New York, and part of that was being introduced and basically the mayor of New York was part of that plan, and that's how that was going to work is to be determined. But the mayor ended up dead.
Yeah.
So President Rager was like, all right, my super truth serum can reanimate the dead. That's so that right. I can get the truth. Little did he know that the character who he has some contact with, DK, who's an entropic parasite, Ken's character, which we'll get into in a second, was one of his cells was infecting this mayor, sort of this like, I guess it's like a sleeper cell parasite kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the combination of the super truth serum semen and this cell of entropic parasite inside the dead mayor's body formed
who knows what
something
crazy,
new thing, and the president passed out in this cold storage locker
with that thing.
And again, this thing was part of an advisor, sort of a shadowy figure who I take advice from.
That's right. My character, DK, who is a entity who has been alive for centuries and centuries, really best thought of as like a worm or a large parasite that can be transferred from human host to human host. DK was inside a janitor when we first met him during the story, and was able to speak secretly with President Rager and advise him on the plan that is to be revealed at the UN. Last time, though, DK got into a bit of trouble because his ancient nemesis, a fox deity named Ketsu, finally caught up with him again in New York City and started destroying him, or at least getting in the way of his plans. DK was able to defeat Ketsu at the last moment and abscond with the body of a new host, the press secretary to the United States of America.
Lisa,
right.
You're playing the
I'm playing
nemesis.
Kitsu, the nemesis of DK. She's a very Japanese type character who can fly and turn into a fox. She works for the god Inari Okami, and she has not figured out why she keeps defeating DK and he keeps reemerging. She hasn't made the link yet to how he works or what his ultimate goal is besides oblivion. And she doesn't know how she perhaps has been making him more effective through the years rather than less effective, which was her ultimate goal. She's also recently learned that in the future she marries Avery Jones. She doesn't know what to believe about that. She doesn't know if it's just a future photoshopping going on to try to mess with her head. But that relationship's not resolved yet.
And I play Avery Jones. She, yes, has the relationship with Kitsu that she's just recently revealed. But she also has been working with Kitsu for a while against DK, and has also talked to Kitsu about her belief that the president and DK are working together for some giant nefarious plan that she's not sure of. She currently is headed to the White House meat locker, where last time she knew, the mayor's dead body was absconded in there, and she thinks that the president is in there as well. And when she was heading out to the president's office to try and confront him, she found the vice president. So she and the vice president are currently headed back to the meat locker to hopefully confront the president and end this plan once and for all.
All right, and so in the mix for our grid, we have an object, which was the mayor's corpse at one point, but now is, I guess, the reanimated corpse being that formerly known as the mayor.
Yes.
We have an object, which is the super truth serum, which I have sort of defined as this byproduct of E.R. Rager's alien roid stuff, whatever sort of pineal gland experiment he's been doing on himself. We have a location, which is the UN building in New York. Also, after the first act, we threw a couple tilts in the mix. So going to come into play in Act 2, a tilt tragedy, somebody's life is changed forever in a bad way, and the tilt failure, fear leads to a fateful decision. All right.
And let's not forget the need that we have on the table as well, the need to get laid so as to continue your species.
All right.
Which isn't that...
It may or may not be happening.
We'll see.
All kinds of weird going on. We'll continue our tale.
Okay, you see a fox climbing up the fire escape of Avery Jones's building, and you see its little fox nose push open a window and jump in, and you see it go up to a big black monolith, and it transforms into Kitsu, and she starts poking at it, trying to figure out how it works, and once she puts her palm up against the black monolith, like, it opens, it dissolves, and she enters into it.
What?
And she emerges... The monolith and she emerges inside the meat locker room of the White House while watching a horrible coitus occurring. and
Who are you to judge, honestly?
It's beautiful.
A beautiful coitus occurring. And she screams, "No!" And she kicks open the door to the meat locker, exposing the scene to 4 military guys. The vice president and Avery Jones.
Huh.
So it's a scene with all of us.
Yeah.
I have spent, and as the door bursts open, I am like collapsing to the floor.
I feel like the body of the mayor is starting to roid out itself, almost becoming some sort of like horrible sort of shadow self of the president, whereas the president's basically taken this dead body over for his own, as the case may be, and so
the mayor is turning into the president.
No, it's just roiding out. It's just
kind of like it's like bulging
it's transforming, turning into
like
a monster.
Its eye explodes out and it comes in.
It's like turning into like an undead,
figuring out its space and flesh.
Space singing monster.
So immediately upon seeing what appears to be the immediate roid rage, you draw. The president drops to the ground, but the mayor is transforming before my very eyes.
Yes.
And so I again take out my katanas and I scream, "No!" And I don't use them. And she's like, "Oh, it's too small of a space," and the katanas hit the
they're hitting
but it does slice off some nice prosciutto.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, it's too."
And the Secret Service guys are freaky. Like, they've pulled their weapons.
Yeah,
the Marines.
They're
have pulled their
firing.
weapons.
Pop, 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 pop.
And it's like ricocheting
It's
around.
ricocheting and embedding into the big slabs of meat that are hanging on all the hooks in this different place, racks of lamb and stuff like that. And sort of the corpse is like its skin is torn off, so it's all red and like swollen and bursts basically. So it's like sort of blending in with like the meat to some degree, and so you can't tell if the bullets are hitting the hanging meat or the now moving corpse, the creature. It's blades are coming after the creature, but they're embedding into the walls and into the meat, the hanging meat, and it's just sort of roaring at this point, and shouting out truths.
Yeah.
Horrible
shouting
truths.
out truths. And so as
you must wash colors cold.
Yeah, it says something in like a language none of you know, and one of the Secret Service guys' eyes start bleeding, and he's just like clutches his head, like gibbering and laughing in madness.
all right, so I drop my katanas and I go around the roid creature and I try to grapple it behind the neck, and I try to whisper into what I think is its ear. It's like, what are you?
What's Avery doing?
What's Avery doing? I'll have the creature still trying to figure out how its vocal cords work while you say what you're saying.
Avery's is trying to hold the vice president back, but at the same time, she doesn't want to leave the area yet because she...
What in good God's name is going on? This is the slippery slope.
We need to call in the rest of the Secret Service.
The president's dead.
I'm
assuming power.
You have a panic button on you. Hit it now.
Stop it, Avery. We need this information. It's telling truths. I just don't have the right truths yet.
Yeah.
So she grabs the wrist of the VP who's gone to hit his button.
Okay, so he's not hitting his panic button yet.
She grabs it and goes, wait.
Okay, so
and he's so freaked out, he's kind of like listening to her at the moment.
So the throat of the thing goes, like it becomes normal, and it goes, hey, I'm the mayor.
You are more than just the mayor. What else are you?
I'm part of a creature you may know as DK.
How can there be more than one DK? I've fought him so many times.
Well, that's the magic of a multi-splitting creature. He can form and unform, much like a small lutefish type creature. Those ones where you can put them in the blender and feed them to another race of them and they'll get all that knowledge. That kind of thing. I read an article about it once as the mayor.
Oh my God. I might have caused him to have this power. That time I threw rice at him back in monkey days. No.
Maybe now's the time to see if it goes well or poorly.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. What do you think? Ken, I think you're the call on this.
I think it goes poorly.
All right. I'll let you do what you want with this, but when you say monkey days,
These monkey days.
His arm sprouts hair and becomes like a huge ape arm.
Yeah.
And what happens?
All right. His arm becomes an ape arm. I think probably the rest of the body also becomes an ape, a giant ape creature. And in classic movie style, he grabs me around the waist and like goes outside and climbs on top of the building of the United States president.
Nice.
Of the White House. Type of the White House. And then just like swings me around and just hurls me towards the
Washington Monument?
The Washington Monument, where I land smack on the point.
Oh.
And then just kind of half impaled and just like sticking there.
All right.
Nice.
Unconscious.
Nice. Yeah.
All right, the monolith is in the meat locker. Okay, they've left.
Yeah, your monolith is still in the meat locker. And it was your time machine, presumably.
Yeah.
Or one of them.
Because she has this way of Avery has this way of being able to realize what's happening and how it's going to change her future, everyone's future. She immediately knows that Kitsu's in mortal danger. The only way that she's going to be able to save her is if she can go back and stop her from coming in at that point.
Awesome.
But the problem is, if she does that, it also means that the president is going to probably win in this situation.
Ooh.
So she has a choice to make.
Oh, what is this?
So-
A tilt?
Yeah, is this a tilt? You can look at one of the tilts. Failure, fear leads to a fateful decision. Or tragedy. Someone's changed forever, but not in a bad way. Not very good choices for Avery.
No.
The best kind of choice.
Exactly. Go for it. Play it for
Tragedy.
help. Yeah, tragedy.
Tragedy.
You are
Someone's
playing
life.
kind of a tragic figure.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
been since the beginning. Definitely.
All right, so she goes to head towards the monolith, thinking, I've got to save her, I've got to save her. And then the VP grabs her arm and says, what are we supposed to do now? And she stops and turns and says, we need to get the press secretary. We need to get a hold of the Secret Service. Push the panic button.
So they're gonna hit the button. Is it gonna go well or poorly for Avery Jones?
I think it goes poorly for Avery Jones.
Ooh, okay.
What do you think? The button gets hit.
The button gets hit. Secret Service show up. And as they show up and are surveying the scene, she suddenly flashes into her head and realizes that this is going to be the end of Kitsu and that there's no changing this.
Ah!
So the president is on the floor, reaches into his jacket and pulls out the one remaining EpiPen and injects it into himself. And every nerve is on fire. His eyes are bulging out of his head. His teeth crack. He just spits out shards of them. And he gets up. His fingers just like he was at memory foam, just bend around the metal bed that the body of the mayor was on. And he raises himself up. He straightens his tie. And it tears as he does it. And he buckles his belt and pulls it tight. And that tears too. And his pants kind of like, his leg muscles are bulging and they kind of rip and tear. So he's almost wearing like shorts.
Yeah.
And it's like, so he's got like a half torn off tie and a button up shirt that's all
ripped
burst
at the
open.
seams, yeah.
And his shorts, he just has like tattered pant shorts now and sock garters. And he goes, "The mayor. I've got to get to the mayor. And the UN, I've got a speech to make." He stands up and just blasts past, just like running, doom, 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 leaving shattered footprints in the ground as he like runs out of the meat locker.
Yeah, busting out of like
the secret, just like bowling over Secret Service agents and Avery Jones and everybody. And he goes to the exterior of the White House and just starts punching and climb punching his way up to the mayor, who's still like hanging out up there, kind of
like
conging.
Huge, conging out.
And he says, "Hey, kid, we got work to do."
And the mayor looks over at the president. I think the mayor is tripping the fuck out. Like, what is? It's a monkey now. It's like a King Kong.
Mayor's a
Mayor
monkey.
turned into a King Kong.
Yeah.
I think the mayor jumps at the president. I think that he's going to try and fight him.
All right, how's this gonna go for the president?
I'll have to choose.
Well, I feel like it should go well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he leaps at the president, and they kind of grab hands.
On top of the White House, all the Washington D.C. is watching this basically as the president has been revealed as a superhero or whatever,
Yeah.
super freak.
And he goes, "Get a hold of yourself, man. We've got to get to the UN and reveal our plans."
The mayor's just going like aping out, going ooh ooh ah, ah.
But he starts to like something clicks, and he shifts form. He still has
yeah.
giant ape arms,
Yeah.
and they're still like grappling. But his body becomes this like flesh helicopter with giant ape arms.
Okay.
And so it's this like
Yeah.
weird, like sinewy,
Ugh.
like helicopter blade thing. And the mayor goes, "That's more like it. Let's hit the road, Jack." And jumps in the cockpit of this flesh helicopter.
All right.
And in not just like rotors taking off, the ape pushes off, shattering the top of the White House facade and leaps into the air with its ape arms
Yeah.
as it rotors off towards New York.
Yeah. All right. So next scene is the mayor helicopter, the flesh helicopter, like the transmogrified body of this poor mayor. Like it's so like Cronenbergian, like
Body horror.
Yeah, tons of like weird distended bones and organs and just weird, shit going on. It lands in New York
On the lawn.
safely. Lands in New York. I'd say it lands outside the UN, on
On the
top of
lawn.
the UN,
Oh, on the-
top
nice.
of the UN, because the announcement, the speech will be on the lawn at the bottom, but it's at the top. And there, of course, waiting to meet the president is his retinue, if you will. And
The sound of the flesh rotors going.
yeah, definitely. Everyone, there's sort of like a weird air of like, what the fuck is happening? Is the president an alien or a superhero? Like,
Except
people are
the,
like,
the one sort of guy who's got his shit together is the press secretary.
of course, who's there to meet them, obviously. And so the press secretary, aka unbeknownst to anyone, perhaps except perhaps Kitsu, as the true DK, is there to meet the president. And after the initial pleasantries, leads the president down the red carpet and to a private suite where he can rest and regain his composure before going to make the announcement, the speech, at the bottom of the UN. And that is when DK decides to reveal himself, saying, I had wondered when you were going to arrive. It seems you ran into some trouble in D.C.
You're not the press secretary. Who are you?
Don't you recognize your most ardent supporter? The speech must go on as we have planned.
DK.
In the flesh.
I need a new tie and some pants that fit.
We're seeing that the public enjoys the shorts look. If you're open to it, perhaps do not put on pants.
It may help the plan to rock these jorts.
Yes, all eyes must be on you, President. The
You've always been
Rager administration is well regarded in this country. And now the polls are showing that people love your transformation. Killing a monster on top of the White House, you'll be the most popular president in history.
The good thing is, the creature's not dead.
Yes. You bent it to your will, though. Impressive.
All things will bend to the will of E.R. Rager.
Indeed. But the speech, it all happens during the speech. And the press secretary sort of hands you the speech, the words of the speech.
And a case of EpiPen.
Yeah, a
injectors.
case of EpiPens. Yes. One of those comically huge, like, syringes.
Yeah. It's just like it's an oxygen tank
Yeah, exactly.
full of this stuff. The helicopter thing, though,
The helicopter thing.
like cracks and folds in on itself and reforms into the mayor.
Okay. Which
But
is
it,
sorta-
like sort of Terminator, like this
Yeah.
nude mayor rises. He goes
The nude
And
mayor.
the nude
rises.
mayor.
and says, "Brother,
To
DK.
to the press secretary. Well,
will this go
I
good
think
or
it's gonna
poorly or
go
what?
bad for. It's your scene, right?
It's my scene.
For DK.
it's going to go bad
Okay.
for DK?"
It goes poorly for DK, and he reacts with revulsion, saying, "You are no part of me. You have been corrupted. You
I am greater than we ever were.
And I think that's where we'll end our scene.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, we're getting to this last round.
Last
All right,
round.
camera pans in on a gold nameplate that says Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. The door opens. The room is filled with Muji lavender scented mists. It's very cloudy in there. And in the distance, you can just make out Ban Ki-moon sitting at his desk. And you hear a gong chime. And Ban Ki-moon looks up from the papers that he's been signing. He's like, I guess it's time again. And you see the crumpled body of Kitsune appear in front of Ban Ki-moon on the desk. And Ban Ki-moon speaks to her, right? And he says, Your body is dead again, I see. Whose body will you take over now? Who shall replace you as my avatar?
And there's like orange blossoms like falling through the air at this point, like spectral orange blossoms.
Yeah, cherry blossoms.
Exactly.
With her last breath, Kisune whispers out, It has to be Avery Jones.
Is this going to go well, or?
I think it goes very well for Kitsune.
All right.
All right, well, Kitsune effectively disappears.
Like sort of fades into
nothing, into flowers. Yes, fades into cherry blossoms. But unfortunately, or fortunately for Avery Jones, her hair starts growing long, and you have now become a 9-tailed fox creature that looks just like I used to.
Yeah.
So who knows who you married?
Yeah. Whoa! What?
Self-love is the purest love.
Yes, indeed. The future, anything is possible.
So Avery used the monolith to get her and the VP to the UN. They get there just right before the president arrives so that the VP can witness everything that's happening here. And they've also grabbed a couple of journalists that Avery knows so they can be along for it, because even though this is going to be a press conference, she feels like there's going to be some stuff that's going to happen behind the scenes that she needs to kind of get out there so the world knows exactly what they're dealing with. So they've landed at the UN. They're witnessing everything that's happening with the president, coming down in this flesh copter. And after he has landed and has been kind of whisked away by the press secretary, she all of a sudden starts to feel weird, so she excuses herself, and that's when the transformation takes place.
Whoa.
She still has a sense of who she is, but at the same time there's still a sense of who Kitsu was. And with the transformation, she still has the same powers, so she realizes that the end of Kitsu might not even be the start of her. The end of Kitsu also might be she has to sacrifice herself just to end this. So she decides she needs to figure out exactly where DK is and end it once and for all.
And Ban Ki-moon like pages you and tells you exactly where he is.
You see the beacon.
The beacon.
Ban Ki-moon beacon.
Yeah.
The Ban Ki-moon beacon.
All right.
Yeah, because you're still in DC at that time.
She's
right?
monolithed.
No. I
You
monolithed over
monolithed
to
over.
the UN, and we got there right before right before the president
Of course.
landed. So we saw
Of course.
what exactly was happening. We realized where he's being whisked away, and we didn't she didn't know exactly at that point in time that you were the press secretary, but Ban Ki-moon has now informed her.
Yes. Yes.
So she is on the hunt.
Okay.
All right. Should this go well or poorly?
Well,
I think it goes well. I think
it's gonna go
we.
well.
Man,
yeah,
a
we
lot
think
of
we determined-
nothing good's happening after this.
she realizes that because in the past she's always cut him up and split him apart in attacking him, she's going to have to keep him encased and enclosed somehow. So it's going to have to be a death. It's going to have to be a very quick death intact. So she heads over to where DK is. I guess he's in with the president.
Yeah, I guess the scene is that everyone is sort of gathering at the bottom of the UN for the
Yeah, like near
speech
the
that the
lawn.
president
Yeah.
is about to give.
So she, as everyone is heading over there to the speech, she's able to get up behind DK, grab him around the neck.
Wait, what?
And because they're all kind of like moving along, she's able to grab him behind the neck and pull him into a side room because she just wants to have this confrontation once and for all.
Okay.
All right, so we'll see where that goes.
Meanwhile, the speech. Maybe?
So, President E.R. Rager steps up in front of the UN. The President of the United States of America. He looks around for his press secretary.
It's not there.
He looks over to the mayor
Who is there?
and motions him up.
Yeah, I think that there's a bunch of people on stage behind you. The press secretary was there. I think Avery Jones was there at
For a hot second.
For a hot second.
And there's probably multiple DKs, right? That have all managed to make their way as members of the UN.
Sure. That's who's there.
All right. So
Ban Ki-moon's there.
Yeah.
the mayor steps in front of the mic first and initially says, I have the distinct honor of introducing the President of our United States of America. Probably one of the most frightening presidents we've ever had. But we need him more than ever if we want to fight the foreign threats of alien invasion. And the UN, like, because he's only speaking truths, and the UN starts erupting, like, what?
Alien invasion.
Rubble. That's when Rager, knowing that things are off rails, rushes up and shoves the mayor out of the way and says, that's right. 274 years ago, we were first visited by them. Space them.
In the back point, a PowerPoint of areas.
51.
Yeah, it says like space, and there's like a picture that says space them.
Yeah, great.
And he and there's like a timeline too. There's like a guy in a like an old coat. It's like a tintype and space them
And then-
circled.
And it tells us exactly what 276 years ago, what date that was.
Yeah, he could have said like multiple scores instead
Yes,
of.
he could have.
But he's President Rager.
Exactly.
He speaks truths, not the truth. But so he goes, the only way to save ourselves from them is to become more than them. And that's why I've introduced into our water supply what I like to call ER serum. Let me give you a sample. And he takes the fistful of EpiPens and injects it into himself. And that's where his scene's going to end.
Cool.
Whoa, do we get a vote how that goes?
Yeah.
It goes poorly for him. There is only, well, actually, the last one is a wild.
Yeah, this one will be wild. So he injects it into himself, and where before every nerve was on fire, like, he has full awareness of every being in New York. And that awareness starts to spread. So he has like full awareness around the globe. And then, so he just has all these nerves, and all those nerves are on fire for him.
Yeah.
So he's just like billions of people burning alive is what he feels like for a small eternity.
Yeah.
He just folds in on himself and explodes and sprays the entire UN with President Rager.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's the end of his speech.
That's really good. That's,
And everyone,
It ends with a bang.
everyone's like, perfect.
Did you bring a handkerchief?
Okay, so DK is facing off against Avery Jones, Avery Kitsu Jones, and sort of looking her in the eye and says, you're too late. It's already begun. I'm everywhere. Once again, you will never be rid of me.
The one thing you didn't count on is if I can kill you here and now, I might be able to stop this. I've killed you wrong every other time. If I kill you correctly this time, it will end.
My destruction will only bring another. It has already begun. The president, my protege, continues my work. Strike me if you will. But already I exist in other places.
Kitsu grabs him by the head and twists it.
Yeah, his head just pops right off.
It still talks.
Yeah, it does still talk.
So well, things we can go wild with this die. Should it go well for DK or poorly?
It's DK scene. Well, if his head popped off,
Yeah, that happened.
I feel like that went well.
For him?
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like it went well.
Okay. All right. Avery Jones, using her strength, pops off DK's head, and the body of the press secretary sort of liquefies, and left over is just this bulbous sort of, almost like a cross between a worm and a crab, just like this slick, muscly creature with different like nodules of eyes and horns sort of coming out of it in different places. It almost has like a spine. Think of it almost like a trilobite, but without any armor on. Avery is just able to like smash it on the ground and just like start stomping on it as it sort of goes. But outside, as President Rager explodes, all of this mucus and ooze gets in all the eyes and mouths of everyone who has been touched by it, including Ban Ki-moon, who begins to very, very softly choke. And that is the end.
So now we roll our die. So we've all rolled our aftermath, and we'll kind of go around reading based on what our numbers are, and this will determine what our denouement end scene, aftermath scenes.
Weak. Hey, you're busted, beat, and broke down. But at least you've learned a lesson about human greed and frailty, right? It'll serve you well in prison, which is where you're probably headed.
Oh, actually the same.
Positive 7 is busted.
Positive 7, yep. Weak, busted, beat, and probably headed to prison.
All right.
Take that.
So President Rager did not do so hot. So he's got a 1 black. Horrible. Oof. You're probably dead. Other people, probably innocent people, are as well. There is no justice. There is no mercy. Everything is utterly, painfully screwed. And it is all of it, your fault.
Nice.
Seems appropriate.
It does. I got, or rather DK got a -5, which is rough. You're getting whipped like a rented mule, for starters. And you will remember this episode for all your diminished days. The lesson you learn will be profound, lingering, and painful.
Lisa, Kitsu, your montage is up.
She has conscience but no power. She resides, along with hundreds of her forebears, now within the body of Avery Jones. Being able to feel the love that Avery had for her, but never being able to express it back. As she exists in a semi-conscious state, living and watching the world and having no power over it. As she's imprisoned, in a way, in the body of Avery.
Avery rushes out of the room where she sees that it indeed has taken place. As DK said, everybody is becoming infected. She immediately reaches into her pouch, grabs out the rice, starts throwing it over everyone, hoping to stop it. But it's spreading too fast. It's going too quickly. And she realizes that she's failed.
Young Ernie Rager is attending a speech in Texas of his hero, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. But Kennedy never makes it to that speech. And that makes Ernie mad.
We see DK's just like pulsating mass of a form, just broken and shredded, pulped by the angry blows of Avery Jones. DK's large parasite of entropy finally rests and just dies.
Kitsu watches as her god, Ban Ki-moon / Inari Okami, turns into the parasite that she failed to destroy and in fact made stronger. She feels like she's an utter failure at all things.
Avery looks wildly around and sees the one thing that might be able to save all of this. She runs over to the monolith. She sets it back from the knowledge that she has from Kitsu to the original confrontation from DK, but realizes that by doing this, she'll never be able to move again. This is the it's a one-way trip that will never be able to be reversed. So she only has one chance to do it. She gets into the monolith, it lands, and it opens up, and she sees Kitsu and DK about to confront each other.
The kill switch that ER Rager had implanted in himself triggers, and vats of this toxic ooze just start seeping into the municipal water supplies all around the nation. And a series of missiles with tweaked warheads flash into the sky. The silos open in Kansas, and you see the alarms are going, and there's these starbursts all around the globe as the clouds are seeded with this venomous steroid poison.
The steroid poison project that DK had been working on with Ernest Rager, to spread the virus that was DK as far as possible, fails as the population starts to drink water and be rained on, but instead of gaining superpowers, they just turn into weird mutants.
Pop.
In the alternate best of timeline, Kitsune exists again, and it's thousands of years ago, and it's during the confrontation between her and DK. And instead of fighting him directly, what she does is she makes ropes and builds a shrine, puts little Shinto white hanging things on the ropes, and she, instead of confronting DK directly, she just ropes around him in a sacred circle, trapping him forever, along with some monkeys in a circle. And he's able to multiply with the monkeys. He's able to take over the monkeys, but him and the monkeys are unable to ever leave the sacred rope.
Avery is in this timeline, but she's at least with Kitsu and knows that she has the opportunity to get to know her, but also has the knowledge that she herself is mortal, so she's only going to be with her for a certain amount of time. But she's happy that she at least got the second chance.
In this alternate timeline, Eddie Rager, Eddie Reed Rager, is at a malt shop with his wife, talking about how when his dad dies, he may inherit the family auto shop.
Yeah. Rager Auto.
Rotto. Erato.
The entity known as Decay is indeed trapped within sacred bonds for eons and eons. The violent events of the future never come to pass, and those who were meant to be together are, save for DK, who is continually trapped and stymied.
Kitsu builds a house. It's a really nice house, and she lives with it with Avery, and they live a very happy domestic life. And it's amazing how much two women can do when they're coupled together.
Texas, 1963. President Kennedy, motorcade is going through. I'm there with my wife and child on the lawn, there to see the president. I'm super excited. And the last thing, as he's coming around the bend, I hear a crack and realize I've been shot. A bullet meant for President Kennedy has gone astray and killed Eddie Rager. And the president, one of our greatest presidents, Kennedy, goes on to to memorialize me and condemn my assassin.
The timeline where tons of people have been infected by DK thanks to the President Rager exploding and spreading the infection. But so many people have rallied to Avery Jones' new Kitsu religion movement that there's just turned into mass civil war throughout the country. And all of the infected have been hunted down and killed, except for the final remaining one, Ban Ki-moon.
I have a last scene for it, the whole thing. You ready?
Do it.
So Ban Ki-moon hits the button,
Yeah.
and as the planet shatters from all the nuclear explosions, a rocket blasts away, a flesh rocket,
A flesh rocket blasts away.
as the mayor escapes
In rocket form.
the sole survivor of the planet Earth.
I love the object from the beginning of the game, the mayor's corpse, is the only thing that survived. It's good. That's good. That was a good fiasco.
All right. With that, our story ends. We'll return again with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho. Ken, where can people find you?
You can find me, Ken Breeze, on Twitter at Berlingsbeard, Berlings, Beard. See
All
you
right.
there.
Lisa, where can people find you?
You can find me on Google Plus at my name, Lisa Renke, Reinke.
All right. And Stacey, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Stadomo, Stadomo.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for playing this fiasco. It was a
wild
weird
one.
one.
Wacky.
Real good.
Wow, man. Good times.
To learn more about the players and the engine in our story, visit boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us at BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. Shout out through the ether if you have desires we can fulfill. Leave reviews and comments on iTunes, your preferred listening portal. Please take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube if that's the way you like to listen to stuff, because we have been putting all the episodes up there. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's page, hotelsandhighways.com. If you are not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop.